Well, hello again, brothers and sisters in Christ. Pastor Mike here. Welcome to the Midweek Meditation. I know the last couple of them have been wonky, but thankfully I think this one is getting out on time, which is good because Christmas is almost here. And so before I forget, Merry Christmas to y'all. Uh, a big thank you to everyone who has been very supportive this year. Big thank you to all the Christmas cards I've received so far and will receive. Just a big thank you to all the congregation and all the people that tune into this out there. Um, yeah, as the year wraps up, I think it's always good as we look back to be, grateful, thankful for above all the people in our lives. So a big thank you to everyone. So midweek meditation, Christmas. It's an interesting one because even Christmas Sunday is, sorry, excuse me, even Christmas is a Sunday this year. So it's not even talking about the first Sunday after Christmas text or any of those sorts of things. It's literally this weekend is Christmas Eve and Christmas, which is always, in my opinion, frustrating to talk about in midweek meditation. You might be like, Pastor, how could this be frustrating? Because Christmas and Easter tend to have two big issues. One, people tend to be very overfamiliar with it, and people tend to put a lot on it that isn't really central. Let's begin with the first. Christmas. We know the story. We've heard Linus with his blanket, right? Over and over again, we hear this story. For some people, this is one of the two Sundays they come to church. It's one of the two stories they hear. They hear the Lucan account of Jesus' birth and then usually John's account of the resurrection. That's all they hear. Two of probably the most familiar passages besides John 3:16, right? We know these things. And sometimes our overfamiliarity, we lose out on how amazing, how life-changing, how important this is. The nuances of this story are huge, that in this time of Roman occupation, as the people of Jerusalem were suffering, and during a census, that Rome made these poor people just go where they needed to go, to the town of Bethlehem. This ancestor of this relative of David, a nobody, was born, who is the Son of God, eternally begotten, born of the Virgin Mary. And in this, born in mean estate, I know everybody argues, well, what is the manger? Sometimes theologians really, I think, get bored and have this deep and abiding desire to try to be like, well, was it really cruel or was it common practice, sleep in the manger? Regardless, if you view the very Son of God coming into the world, probably the most important that has ever existed, being born in a stable, a barn, this animal mixed housing at the back of an inn, so be it. It's still not an amazing spot to be born. But yet, in the midst of that, he came to us. That's the key thing. That angels announced it, that shepherds saw it, that all of the other stuff that we can get hyper focused on loses out. God chose us. That's pretty good news. With all of our fights and decorations and all these other sorts of things and our familiarity with it, we cannot lose sight of that, which is also the other piece, that we put too much on it. Oftentimes, the gifts, the meal, the tree, the decoration, the light displays can take center stage. My house is very, very simple this year. It's not overwhelming. Um, not against anybody that does that. But if it's there to enhance our recognition of the birth, great. If it's there to replace our understanding of the birth, not a huge fan as your pastor. Because really, oftentimes as we think about the gifts, the decorations, the food, they're all there to help us celebrate and bring out the importance, right? You have a nice meal when it's an important event, right? To help you recognize the important event. Our decorations should be signs and symbols reminding us what this is about. Just as all the pyramids in church are there to remind us, to draw our attention. All of those pieces are visual reminders, visual cues, encouraging us to understand what is important. Our gifts and our generosity are in many ways to mirror the generosity of Christ in coming and being present with us. but they can often eclipse what the real point is. So, brothers and sisters, ultimately, that's my encouragement to you guys. One, have a Merry Christmas. B, through ups and downs, strikes and gutters, good and bad, it's not going to be perfect. I know my Christmas ain't going to be perfect. God bless. That's okay, because it's not up to me. All the things that we do are meant to call our gaze, our attention, our hope, our faith to what God does in this season and what God has been doing for a couple thousand years. Again, turning to us, choosing us, coming to us in his meal to bring us life and light, salvation, peace, hope, all of those things that even Isaiah talks about. He brings it again. Draw your gaze to that. Look at the tree, and hopefully it draws your visage up to see the star or the angel up there to remind us, and that's why they're there. Those are the things that continue to point to Christ. The angels pointed for the shepherds, the stars pointed for the wise men, and they sit at that tree with all the things that we hang on it that we think are valuable to draw us up and to bless those things and draw our gaze to Christ. That is my hope for you guys this year. Because I know um, mine will not be perfect. Mine will not be great. But he still shows up. Well, hopefully this is an encouragement for the season, a meditation in that last push toward the holidays, and above all, a blessing to those who I am grateful for. We'll talk to you later, brothers and sisters. Bye now.